Hi everyone. Hello. Thank you and welcome to another FIT Love Your Library event. The Love Your Library program is designed to provide insight and inspiration from creatives in various industries to the FIT community. Tonight we have the opportunity to spend time with Stephen Cox and Daniel Silver, Duckie and Duckie, the masterminds behind the menswear label Duckie Brown. We'll get to learn more about them, their philosophy, and the book they published last year. And during our discussion, there'll be time for questions. So to get the discussion started, I have some questions based on particular passages of your book.
Okay.
And their book is entitled The Book 2024. It's right here.
The reason why we entitled it The Book 2024 is because we like to call everything what it is. So if we do the shirt, it's the shirt. If it's the long pointed shirt, it's the long pointed shirt. If it's the baggy trouser, it's the baggy trouser. Or it's the low crotch trouser. Like like some labels do, like the Jane this, the Missy that, the Nancy that. Like who can remember what the fuck that all means? And like what silhouette is that going with?
When I worked at Theory for a few years, and everything was named by a name. And we literally, after 2 years, ran out of names. So I'm like, I'm never going to call it a fucking name again.
So we just like to call it what it is.
If it's a t-shirt, it's called
The T-shirt.
If it's a shirt, it's called The Shirt. If it's got a 3/4 sleeve, it's called The 3/4 sleeve shirt. Easy.
That way we don't have to remember what it is.
This is the hat.
So this is Duckie Brown, The Book.
This is the jumper.
Very nice.
All right, that's how we came to the title.
Okay, well the first question is like a three-part question about the book.
Let's see if we get to all three parts.
Okay, we'll see. So in the book, there's an interview with the two of you and Jose Crialas Unzueta.
Who's fabulous.
Who's the
You
fashion...
guys should read him on Instagram and stuff. He's really amazing. He's a writer for Vogue.
Very interesting.
Fashion news editor for Vogue Runway. He said that your book had an important legacy in New York, but also a very significant queer and gay legacy.
Yes.
What did you want to make sure to say or present aside from the fashion in this book?
Well, for me, just that we survived 24 years or 25 years in the fashion industry. That is really, really tough to have your own label. And I'm sure many of you want to have your own label, and my advice to you is go work for someone else for 10 years and make mistakes on their nickel and get to know people in the industry and get to know where things get done and how things get done and get all those contacts, then start your own label. But it's really hard in New York because, New York's not about creativity, it's about money, right? And it's not like Europe. Like, if you're in London, you'll go see some new designer and they'll be out in Dulwich in a basement, and they're digging up old t-shirts that they buried for 10 years. It's like, that's London. New York is about how much are you selling, and so it's hard if you're a creative label and you're not just doing clothing, but you're doing fashion to exist and to sustain yourself. And so for me, and I think for us, the book is our legacy that we survived 24 years. And we don't have children, we're going to die, no one's going to remember us, but there's the book. And some kid in 20 years is going to find the book and go, who the hell are those guys? That's us.
I just wanted to put a load of images of myself in a book. No, there is a bit of that. No, we just wanted to, it's like Daniel said, I think it was, we've done this for 25 years now, and I think that it was about that there's not male or female in our work, that it's just about the art of what we do, and there's that question of, is art fashion, is fashion art, am I an artist, am I a designer? I'm a clothing designer, I think I'm a menswear designer. Traditionally, everything I do is based in traditional menswear, but it doesn't mean that our customer is very expanded. We have no age range, we have no gender range, and it's, you know, we have
And no
old
size
customers.
range.
Yeah, so it's kind of, we have, you know, we don't put size labels in our clothes, we never have. We don't put content labels in our clothes. If you come to the studio, which is the only place we sell it, I will sew the label on in front of you. So it's kind of like, it's very by hand, and I think that's what this book is. It's just a load of images that we've collected over the years that are really beautiful. I mean, I'm like, look at the book and go, bloody hell. You know, there's some beautiful images in there. The first time I opened it, I'm like, wow, this is good. So it's just, I don't know, a record for us, really. I mean, I make all the clothes for me. And whoever wants to buy them can, but, I mean, we were shopping today in the studio for us. And I'm like, no, I don't want that for a customer, that's mine. So, you know.
That's great. That actually brings me to a different question. We'll forget about the three parts. You've gone from answering the question, what's appropriate for men to wear, to what's appropriate for people to wear.
Yes.
Can you describe the evolution in that approach?
Well, I think at the beginning, what's appropriate for men to wear was basically saying, you know,
We should use the microphone.
use microphone. We don't want to, though.
They don't
No, I
want
think
to.
this creates a more intimate space.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, you can hear us, right? We're talking loudly enough. I think when we started out, and I would say, oh, you know, they'd say, what's the goal, or what's the aim, or what do you dream? It's like, okay, what's appropriate for men to wear, to dress men beautifully? I think that might was code for, we're gay, and we're just doing clothing for everyone, and it was hard in 2001 to say that, unbelievably so. And so we set it in code. And I
We've
think,
had fashion editors say to us in the early 2000s that we were too gay. That Duckie Brown was too
the
gay.
name was too
The
gay,
name was
the
too
clothing
gay.
was too gay.
And how funny that it was gay men, fashion editors, from big magazines that we all know at that time, that were like, it's too gay.
So,
What's too gay?
so I used to fight back at them and go, really, too gay, like too Jewish? Too gay, like too black? Like how gay? Anyway, as time changed and we could talk differently and the language changed, it didn't become what's appropriate for men to wear. It became, isn't everything appropriate for everyone to wear? I mean, and that's where we landed. And when we landed on that, we were able to take everything away from doing wholesale, because for 15 years we did wholesale and we sold it like Barney's and to Harrods and to Maxfield's and to stores in Japan and in Russia. And like we did all that, had 15 or 20 stores a season, which just drove us crazy. And it was like, let's stop doing that, because as a high-end label, you can't make money doing that. No one makes money off high fashion. They make money, as you all know, in lipstick or perfume, right? That's how Chanel makes, you know. How many Birkin bags are you really selling? You're not.
A lot.
So even if it's a lot, it's not enough to sustain Hermes and all the real estate they have. So I realized at some point we could make money because of Duckie Brown, but never from selling high-end. That's how we ended up doing
Perry Ellis.
Perry Ellis and Florsheim. And those things brought us in lots of money. And then when we were ready, we were like, enough with the stores, we're just going to sell in studio. And that way people come to us and we make 70 or 80 pieces a year. And that's been going on for 70 or 80 pieces a season, twice a year. But the last few seasons, what we've done is we've shrunk it to this season, which you are, I don't think you're seeing any, yes, the stuff that's all got Stephen in the turbans, that's this current season that we're selling. It's 36 pieces and each piece is one of a
doing
kind.
the book.
So that's one of everything you see is one of a kind, and no more fabric. So when we sell it, that's it.
Gorgeous model.
And it's so much easier, it's so much nicer.
Indeed. Well, to go
Anyway,
back,
that's our philosophy now, and it works for us. And hopefully it'll keep changing somehow.
that's great. That's great. To go back to the editors and what the editors were saying, I have a question about Robin Gibbon
Robin
from
Gibbon.
Gibbon from the Washington Post.
Do you all know her? She's a huge voice in the world of, well, I'd say now culture, not just fashion, but she came from the world of fashion to begin with. She's very smart.
She's a big thing, and
I think she's a Nobel Peace
I
Prize
was-
winner or something like that. She won some huge
Prize
prize.
Pulitzer?
for
She's
Pulitzer.
huge, and she works for now the Washington Post. So you
She's
should
an
look her
incredible
up.
writer, and
Nobel Prize for
this was
journalism.
many years ago when I was much more, what's the word? I hate
Sensitive?
insecure. But I was like, why aren't you this? Why aren't we here? Why aren't we doing that? Why aren't I like Mark Jacobs? Why don't, it was more like that. And everything we did the shows, and it was all very like, and I was really, like, everything was written, I was reading, and I don't do that anymore. And she wrote, buyer beware, I think was in the Washington Post, buyer beware, if you buy or wear, I can't remember exactly, wear Duckie Brown, you will look like a clown that has lost his float. I was mortified, I was crying, I was like, we were ruined, she's like, fuck her, slag, you know.
So
was
I had a
like-
great idea. I said, let's phone her and make her our friend. So I phoned her, invited her to the studio, and then she became our best pal.
But I-
and she understood what we were about. And I came to realize a clown that lost its float,
Is
that's
beautiful.
fucking amazing. Who doesn't want to look like that?
This is, I think, there's an image that's coming up that I think that was the collection that she actually, which is like, yeah, it is a bit like a clown that's lost his float, but you know, the image, there's a clown that's lost his float. I am a fucking clown that lost his float. I lost my float.
Anyways, we think it's a great image, and why not? What a beautiful thing to say about someone's collection, really.
Yes, so what I learned is don't think about the first thing that you think of. It wasn't, think about it, let it cook. Sometimes I get samples back and I'm like, oh my god, it's awful. I go away and then I come back the next morning and I'm like, you know what, it's beautiful. Although we did a dress this season. I still think
Which
it's
we call
horrible.
the man dress, which is very confusing to me.
I am not very good at designing dresses. That I don't know why, but it looks absolutely beautiful on one of our customers that bought it. But the other cotton one, I'll show you in a minute. It's like Little House on the Prairie gone wrong, kind of Amish something.
There
This
it is.
one. It actually doesn't
Yeah, but
look
there's
that bad.
the
And
other
there's the
version.
other one.
And
My
there you are.
eyes are so baggy.
No, they're so blue.
All right, what else?
So, well, going back to that, have there been other moments like that where you've turned something around that didn't seem so positive?
Well, we've turned it all around because we're here. But I don't know. You know, it's a life.
I
Like
think-
all of your lives, right? There's like great moments and moments you just wish didn't happen, and you have to get through it.
I
You
think
have to work
just
through it.
getting
I mean,
older, you get wiser, and we're both not in our 20s or 30s or 40s, and we don't, like it said, you know, we're busy. We never say we're busy. It's like we try and do things in a calm way, and we don't. Like, I don't read. We don't do any press. We don't give our stuff to magazines. We don't. If somebody wants to do an article, which is very rare, we're very specific of who we give to, which makes, I think, people want you more if you're not everywhere. You know what I mean? It's
well, some people. There's also, like, we don't play the New York fashion game. I mean, we did at the beginning, so we were nominated 3 times for what? Best menswear, best new menswear by
CFDA.
the CFDA.
But I wanted to
But
win.
we didn't really play that game. And so as a result, we're not embraced by all the people all the time. But that's okay because, you know, it's like life. I'm not for everyone and not everyone's for me.
One year.
So you sort of choose your lane.
We were nominated for the CFTA Best Menswear Award, and in the category was Calvin Klein, Ralph Lauren, and Duckie Brown.
We were
And
fucked.
hold on a minute. And it was Ralph's 40th anniversary. Kenneth Cole is such a twat. He was at our table, drunk, and he was like, who are you? And I'm like, I'm Duckie Brown. I'm nominated for Best Menswear. He said, and who are you up against? And I said, Calvin Klein and Ralph Lauren. He goes, you're never going to fucking win. And you know what? We didn't, of course. But turning around isn't... We were with fucking Calvin Klein and Duckie and Ralph Lauren. It's like, you couldn't get much bigger than them. And there's little Duckie Brown, the two of us, up with them. So there was something of like, yes, we didn't win. We were never going to win. But look who we were up against, which was like, wow.
And I pitched that story to all the press. No one wanted to write it.
No. Because they want Kim Kardashian wearing our stuff.
No, but that was 20 years ago or 15
I know.
years ago.
And you know what? There's another thing. You know, all the celebrities. Kim Kardashian wanted to buy Duckie Brown. Daniel's like, yeah, bring your stylist round. We'll give you 10% off. Do you think she ever comes? She wants it all free.
Yeah.
And people do give it to her free. But why does she can pay? She's, you know, so wealthy. Anyway, we
Well,
don't do that either.
people always want us. I mean, we used to give to shoots when we were doing wholesale, but in the last 6 years, we say no to almost everyone. We're like, no, it's available for sale. Everything we make, we produce. Everything we produce, we sell. You want it? Come get it.
We
If
did
you have a budget,
one
great.
time, we did a Madonna video very early on. Because again, it was younger, and it was the Madonna and Britney Spears video, that duet they did. And I'm like, we've got to do it, we can't, like Daniel was like, no, we don't want to do it. And I'm like, we want to do it, we've got to do it. It's like, it's Madonna and Britney Spears. So I gave them this beautiful jacket, it was all handmade tweed in Paris, gorgeous, and it was returned ruined, with all the sleeve was chopped up. There's no way you could repair it. So we called the stylist, and they were like, "Oh, there's no budget for repairs." And I'm like, "It's a bloody Madonna, Britney Spears video. Of course, there's a budget." And then you get so it was ruined. We never got it repaired. And then in the video, it's like, there's like one arm, like she goes like that and she's got it on, and it's like, it just doesn't, it doesn't pay to give it to them. There's no credit. Madonna didn't, I thought, you know, Madonna's going to come to the studio and she's going to be my friend, and then I'm going to be going dancing with Madonna. You know, I had all these fantasies of me and Madonna like being best mates, and it didn't happen, unfortunately.
Oh. Well, in the book, I noticed a photo of a handwritten note, which was a quote by the late, great Lee Bowery, that said, "Dress as if your life depended on it, or don't bother."
Yeah.
Who else has been an inspiration to you both?
Charlie Chaplin. My school uniform. It's every single... Charlie Chaplin is in every single collection. Lee Bowery, I'm sure, is in every single collection. Michael Clark, who did a collaboration with Lee Bowery, the dancer, is a huge inspiration. It's just the school uniform, lads, not a jock from America, but lads from England.
Jarvis Cocker.
The tracksuit, Jarvis Cocker, school uniform again. I mean, school uniform is just like in me. Lauren Hutton from one collection we did based on, we looked at American Gigolo, which is a beautiful movie. Lauren
American
Hutton.
Gigolo, Richard Gere at his prime. You know, it used to be like in the early 2000s, they would interview a bunch of designers. They'd be like, well, I was watching this film, like even Isaac Mizrahi was, I was watching this film about Nanook of the North, and I just thought the Eskimo thing, and so I based it all on Lost Horizon. And I thought, you know, we've never based anything on anything, really, except like our own feelings. Let's watch a film. Let's watch American Gigolo, because we know it's got Richard Gere, right? So we're watching Richard Gere in American Gigolo for the 100th time, and I'm like, I turned to Stephen, I'm like, who cares about Richard Gere? It's Lauren Hutton and all the silk tops and all the suitings. And that's when we started to do silk tops for, well, at that time, men. But that was our inspiration. It was Lauren Hutton, not Richard Gere. So, you know, you can get inspiration from anywhere.
Okay. Thank you. So you've worked together for at least 25 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. What are the best parts of your working relationship, and what is essential for staying together so long as work partners and life partners?
Therapy. Couples and single.
Okay.
Yeah,
Noted.
we've been a couple 33 years. I don't know how we do it. Don't ask me. Good
We're
luck.
not in couples therapy.
I'm not
now,
saying
we're in
everyone should
singles.
do it, but therapy has helped a lot. As far as work goes, we kind of have our own lanes, and then the lanes we share together. And most of the time, I don't know, we get along really well. There's 20% of the time you don't want to come near us because it's war. But for the most part, it's kind of easy peasy and pleasant. It's fun to work with your pal.
Yeah. I have no boss. You know, I worked in corporate America for a long time, and that was like not so good for me.
Yeah.
I couldn't deal with it, and I always was having a huge argument with my boss, and then I left. I didn't leave. I got fired from a lot of places. It just wasn't for me. But now I work with my husband, and I work with my partner, and it's, I would say, less than 20% is, you know, we come in the morning, we sleep together, we get up together, we have dinner together, we go to bed together, and then we come into work together, on the subway together, and then we go to the coffee shop together, and then we work all day together, and then we leave together and we're together. It's like for 25 years. It's good. It really is. I don't want to do anything else.
That's so lovely. That's so lovely. So, coming back to the book,
Yes.
what took you so long to create the book, and what was the process like?
Okay, doing a book is really a nightmare.
Oh, yeah.
We had the idea just before COVID, and the first thing we did was we started to collect all the images from the photographers that we thought we would want to use. Well, one of the photographers wanted to charge us, and did charge us, for touching up what I'd already paid for to be touched up years before, to get out of his vault or something. Like, I didn't quite understand. But basically, I had to spend a lot of money with one photographer just to get the images that I wanted, where I got all the other images for free. For free, whatever. But so and then I had to, a lot of Stephen's sketches and stuff, we had to go to Dugal and we had to have them, I don't know, what do you call it when you have them shot and digitized.
Retouched.
So that's expensive. So all of a sudden, like within a matter of moments, 5 years ago or 6 years ago, I was already at like $10,000. And I'm like, oh no. I could just see I'm in this for a lot of money. And I'm like, no, we're going to stop. So we just stopped. We just stopped. But in the meanwhile, I had asked Tim Blanks, do any of you know who Tim Blanks is? Okay, those of you that don't, on Instagram,
He's
like one of the
well-known
foremost
fashion writer.
Yeah, he's one of the foremost fashion writers
He works at,
alive today who is actually
Business
relevant.
of Fashion.
Right. And he's one of the few relevant people in the fashion industry. Anyway, that writes.
And he's very knowledgeable about fashion, and he's very interested in fashion, and he's great to have a drink with as well.
And he loves us. Anyway, we befriended him many eons ago. And so I had asked him to write the foreword for the book. And he had written it. So, okay, that happened. The money I spent, and I'm like, okay, we're just stopping. And then a year and a half ago, I was talking to Tim at Christmas, and he said, whatever happened to the book? And I said, oh, well, I'm like, it's too expensive, I can't do it, I don't want to spend another $10,000. It's like, it's too much work, and I don't know how to do it. And he was just like, stopped me in my tracks. He's like, what the fuck are you going on about? He's like, you need to do the goddamn book. You need to show New York that you're still here, and you're alive, and you're kicking, and it's a good thing for you. You're going to be dead, the book will exist. Do the book. So I got off the phone, and I said, okay, we're doing the book. And then things just sort of fell into place. a woman photographer of ours who's shooting actually all these images that you see now, Chloe Horseman, who's young, who's only 27 or 28, who actually got married today, came to us at 18 as an intern, and now has become quite a photographer. Anyway, she had done a book, and she hooked me up with this guy who had this connection in Belgium, which just so happens is where all the fashion books get printed. They did the Dries book, so I hooked up with them, and things just fell into place. And then it became about, okay, maybe we can have more than just a forward, we can have an intro. And then, so we asked someone to do the intro, Jose at the time. And then I ran into another friend of mine, Matthew Schneier. Do any of you know him? Okay,
He was
look
a
him
New
up.
York Times writer.
He was a New York Times writer. Now he writes for the New Yorker,
He's the
New
food
York
critic.
Magazine. He's the food critic. But he's very smart about cultural things, okay? Anyway, I ran into Matthew, who I was very close to, but you know, it's fashion and you can love people, but they come and go, or they're busy, or they have a new boyfriend, or whatever it is they're doing. And I ran into Matthew, and I was a little like, and so he said, what are you doing? I said, well, we're doing the book. He's like, oh, who's writing for the book? I'm like, Tim and Jose. And he was like, oh. I'm like, okay, I gotta go, bye. But I went home that night, and I'm like, well, why can't I have Matthew write for the book? That's so stupid. I love the way he writes. So then I was like, well, let's really open it up. So that's how we have Matthew Schneier writing in the book, and Robin Gavon, Jay Bell, who used to be the huge buyer at Barney's. And then we were like, well, let's have Nicole Phelps. Do anyone know? Okay, Nicole Phelps. Vogue. And Laya. Vogue. So that's how we got this whole host of people to write for the book.
It was a beautiful thing to do.
It was like, why not have 12 people write for the book? Like, where is it written you can only have an intro and a forward? So the book just took a while, but it happened. It was way more money than I ever wanted to spend.
And it was a beautiful thing to do, and it was, in the end, a lot of work, but it was actually easier than I thought. And we had already collected all the images, which were a lot, and we edited them down from, I don't know, 1,500 to 800 to 400 to 344, and that was a beautiful thing to do, because we just, I think there's a picture
There's
of
a
it.
picture of it on some of the
where
floor,
we
but our
just
whole studio, which
laid them out on the floor, and
we just stood
then
there
it was
going-
like, there was an hour or two of me and Daniel and Paul, our art director, who's fabulous and has the same inspiration as I do. Everything, every single thing that we did graphically was always based on the album cover of the New Order. Yeah, this was what we did. So it's the New Order Substance album, which is white and black, and it's always, that is what it must be based on, everything that we do graphically, and it's very, very like Bauhaus, which I'm also obsessed with, so it's very like that. And then we were like, oh, what are we going to do? How are we going to start it? And then nobody was doing anything. We were all procrastinating. And then Daniel was like, I'm going to do something. And then
I'm going to do a pink story. So I took all the images that were pink and threw them up on the wall. And then I looked at them and Steve was like, oh my God, that's so horrible. I can do better. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
really?
It was bad.
Then we began.
And I'm like, this is like, looks like shit, let's start. And so then I just did it all. And it was like doing a collection run. It just went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it was really easy. We just did a bunch of groups, and then we joined the groups together, and then it was obvious what's the first group, what's the second group, what's the third group. So as you see in the book, it's not chronological. There's no big intro in the book telling you who we are or what we've done or where we come from. You need to dig for that in the interview, and it's a visual story. do you have any more questions? Do
No,
you want
we
to?
can-
All right, so now we want to talk to you as well, and we know what we know, but we want to know what you want to know.
And there is no wrong question. Ask us whatever you like. It doesn't even have to be about fashion.
It could be about tariffs. What do we know? Yes.
Oh, there's no tariffs anymore at the moment, I think. They've gone
Your
off again.
portfolios have risen once again. All right.
Yeah.
What's been some of like the biggest mistakes that you've made, or like things you wish you hadn't done?
Well, I think one of the biggest mistakes at the beginning, and I addressed this in the book actually, there is a quote from my father, who was this businessman. And he would say to me, because at the beginning, you know, you make the clothes, well, how do you sell them? I mean, there's one thing to do, any one of you can do a collection of 20 or 30 pieces, but then what the fuck are you doing with the 20 or 30, you know, it's sort of like if a gun goes off in the forest, if no one's there, who's hearing it? So you get an agent or you get a showroom, right? Okay, so there's all these showrooms in the city. So you go to this showroom, you have a talk, you make a deal, whatever, and then they find stores. Stores come to them and they make an order. Well, what I realized early on was, okay, I got an order from so-and-so for $40,000. Oh, that's great. But what happens if I make the order and then the store doesn't want to pay? Well, that's a problem, right? I mean, that's a problem for me because I'm going to be out of business. The showroom? Oh, no, this is... So I started to realize early on, that happened to me once or twice, and then I realized, oh, no. Every store that wants to order Duckie Brown in this showroom, half up front, half before delivery. The showroom says to me, oh, no one will ever order. I'm like, I can't afford to make clothing for people who don't pay. So, your store wants my clothing, that's the deal. But it took me a while to learn that, and the code for that is MUF, money up front. Okay? If they're not willing to pay, fuck them. Walk away. It's going to be hard because you think you really need them, but you can't afford to make clothing for people who do not pay. So if you're doing a line of shirts or a line of t-shirts and you're taking it into a store, forget about consignment. Fuck them. You want it, pay for it. Otherwise, move on to the next. Those that want, pay. Okay? Those that want, buy. Those that put on hold, never buy. So that was one of my big lessons, which he doesn't give a shit about, you know. But it's like we're running a business.
Can you make your answers a bit shorter?
Oh, really? Okay. Well, I'll just talk about you, about being the in-house model.
Yeah. Anyway, back to me.
Okay. Yeah.
I think don't make a lot of mistakes, but.
Okay, she wants to cut a hole out of a Rocco Ciccarelli jacket. This is a hand-tailored jacket. We were selling them for like $4,000. She snips off the tag on the back and makes a hole.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest mistakes I ever made. I think one of the biggest mistakes is just think, again, earlier on, not now, but when we first started Duckie Brown for the first 10 years, is worrying about what others... Like, what's Marc Jacobs doing? Worried about everyone else and worried about, oh my God, it looks the same as what I've done and why am I not famous and all of that shit, which is so insignificant and so you just have to do exactly what you want to do. And I'm really lucky that is there another one? These are delicious. Just calm it down, don't worry about everything else, and just do what you want to do, and sketch what I wanted to do, and it become... We were lucky that I'm so lucky that I get to do exactly what I want to do every day, and I don't worry about Marc Jacobs anymore, or anybody else, and that was the biggest mistake. But I think that, again, is an age thing. You're wiser. I've had a lot of therapy. You know, I'm English. I didn't want to go to therapy. I've got no problems. You know, you have to have a major problem to go, but it's an incredible thing to do. And I go twice a week now, which is great.
The thing to remember is just be yourself, because everyone else is taken.
Yeah.
It's just that simple. So just lean in, as they say in corporate America, lean into who you are. You know, and then you can never listen to that little voice inside your head that goes,
And now I'm the oldest male model in Vogue. Oh no.
So yeah, I mean, it's hard. Listen, it's hard. You're 22 or 25. It's hard to trust yourself. It takes time. It takes time. Give yourself a break. I don't know. It's like you're in school, and I know, like in school, it's tough because There's a lot of stuff they make you jump through. But the thing is that you can overcome that and surpass that. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what fashion school you go to. If you're good and want to do fashion, you're going to be good and you're going to do fashion. And it doesn't really matter what happens here, whether you get into the final thing. I know there's a whole thing here with the final collection, and people want to throw themselves off the roof when they don't get into the final show, or they do get into the final show. Don't sweat it.
I think I actually had a dream last night.
You want a career in fashion, you're going to have a career in fashion. What else? Yes.
If you could go back to when you were kind of in our position,
Yeah.
what would you do differently knowing what you know now?
That's for you, Ducky. Why is that funny?
Because my answer's rude.
Let's hear it.
I would sleep with more people.
All right. Have more
Because I
sex.
didn't.
Have more sex is one answer.
Yeah, I think I would have had more sex. Now over to you.
I always answer that kind of question as nothing. I would do nothing differently. Because if I did something differently, it's like those shows where they try to change the past and then the future is different too in the present. So, every mistake you make gets you to where you are today.
No, I
And
don't.
the one thing that I've learned getting older is you kind of like yourself more. Because you've been with yourself longer. So, maybe you don't feel that way now. Or maybe you go home and you think how horrible you are and you're fucked up and messed up and you're ugly and you're fat and you're stupid and you're not talented and all those things. It's kind of a waste of time. It's like, whatever, dude. It's like you're doing the best you can. Keep one foot in front of the other.
Yeah, I
Some
think-
days are better than others.
I think it goes back to what I was talking about earlier of like the mistakes we made younger. I would have not been so unsatisfied as I was. I was always searching for something else. I was like, I'm not at the right college, I'm not here, I want to go to Middlesex. Everyone was at fucking St. Martin's. I was like, I should have gone there. And looking back, I went to the right college that was for me. It was a really creative, fine art-based fashion course. It was really good at the time. I'm from London, I didn't want to go to school in London, then I'd have to live at home with my parents. So I went to Liverpool, and I was always trying to be leave every time I was there, and I really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed it looking back, and I wouldn't have moaned so much, and I would have just got on with what I did and just did it, which I think is like now. I'm content now. I don't know, being young and
You had a question?
carefree.
Yeah, you.
I was going to ask kind of a two-part thing, where what is the next design task that you're dreading, and are you planning to make it easier somehow?
The next design task, are we dreading? We don't, well, actually talk for me, it's been such an ongoing conversation for 25 years that there's no dread. There is no dread. I'm just going to put that out there. We love what we do. We don't always love every moment of what we do, but the overarching activity and thinking about it, and like even today we were walking from the subway going, well, what do you think about the next collection? Well, I want to do the estate collection, which is like I want to pull these pieces that we've been holding on to for 25 years and create something around them. So we're going to sell off 10 huge major pieces plus the stuff around it. Or are we just going to shoot the major pieces with Stephen naked underneath and then sell the other stuff to the side? We don't know, but it's like this ongoing conversation. It's like a Rubik's Cube or a puzzle that we're forever trying to figure out until we go, oh, that's it. And we haven't gotten there yet, but we'll get there at some point.
I don't
That's
think
it.
the word dread is not anything that I would ever put with Duckie Brown. Maybe I've dreaded working with buyers. I've dreaded working with editors. The buyers are even worse because they want to design the whole collection. But in the last 7 or 8 years of us working on, it's not, the word is beauty. Like, it's beautiful what we do. And it's beautiful to come up with another collection. And dread is not, I don't dread that.
I mean,
look
we exist under special circumstances because there are anyone who has their own fashion company has deep pockets. Okay, that's number one. So anyone that tells you they don't have deep pockets and they're starting their own line is bullshitting you. okay? Because you don't do it off fresh air. That's number one.
You need a
But
certain
to
amount of money.
sustain yourself, that's a whole nother can of fish. And for us at this point, we're doing no wholesale. We're making maybe 100 pieces a year now. Okay, we are not living off of the money that we make on Duckie Brown. Duckie Brown makes enough money for us to go around and doesn't cost us anything. But we have our own money outside of what we generate that allows us our lifestyle. So there is no magic recipe. If you want to live well, like most companies like us are owned by someone else, right? And the designer has 5% or 10%. You know, what does Calvin own? Or what did Donna sold her company, right? They sell. Like Tom owns what now of his company? 5% or 10%? You know, and he got paid out. I mean, they don't own their name anymore. People sell out, that's how they survive. Okay? We own our name. You want to pay me $15 million? I'll sell it, maybe. But I think I would have a hard time
You
seeing
can buy
some-
it for 10.
But I don't know, because 10 after taxes is going to be like 5.
That's enough.
No, it's not necessarily enough the way we like to live. And also, I don't know if I could stomach going into some mall in middle America and seeing Duckie Brown sort of like for teenagers, like in shitty fabric for $29.99.
So do another line.
No, there'd be a non-compete clause for 10 years. Anyway, my point is, we're for sale. I always take the meeting, and don't give yourself a reason to say no. Like lots of time I listen to kids and I go, oh, well, why don't you try, like, you know, send your resume to Ralph, Calvin, I don't know, Luar, whoever. And they're, oh, hey, I don't want to work for them. I'm like, you know what? Shut the fuck up. They haven't offered you the job. Say yes. That's my one lesson that I've really learned. Okay, and I'm 66 years old now. Just say yes. It is so much easier in life. Say yes. When you see the dotted line, then you can say fuck off or this isn't for me. But until then, just say, well, that sounds interesting. Tell me more. It's so much easier. And you never know who you're going to meet along the way. If you get nothing out of today, remember this. Just say yes. You can say no at the end. Just say yes. It's so easy. And it'll make your life so much easier, trust me. Because we spend a lot of our time going, oh no, we would never. For what? It's stupid. You know, even when we were doing Perry Ellis, and Stephen's like, I don't want to do this. I'm like, this is going to be a horrible job. They're going to hate us, but we're going to make a lot of money, and then they're going to fire us. So that's what happened. Because there we were dealing with corporate gays, and corporate gays hated us, because we would come and we would go. And they were stuck at Perry Ellis, which is a shit company. So we had a lot of enemies. I got mad a few times.
They did pay us a lot of money.
But they paid us a lot of money. So, you know, you kind of know what you're getting into sometimes, and you just go for it anyway, because you take a job because it's either good work, good money, or good connections. You want 2 out of the 3. Good money and good work and good connections, 2 out of the 3, then you want the job. Okay? Something else to think about. What else?
Any more?
Yes.
If they were to pay,
If they were to pay, for what?
who would you like to wear your clothes?
I want everyone to wear our clothes, and that is one of the things, since we've been doing our own thing the last 6 or 7 years, where people either FaceTime us or make an in-studio appointment. We have 18 to 70-year-olds. We have every shape, every race, every gender, every size, and I want everyone. We have a collection where everyone here could find something to wear and be happy. And I feel very proud of that. And it's something that just happened, and then I recognized it. Like sometimes you don't even know what you're doing until you've done it, and then you go, oh, wait a minute. You know, like we had a guy today who came in, and he's kind of a heavy, you know, like not everyone has Stephen's body, right? I mean, all the clothes are made for him. I can't even wear them. I mean, now, finally, after 25 years, we did a Daniel pant, trousers, so I can wear the fucking trousers. I can't wear any of the trousers. Anyway.
Because you're not sample size.
Exactly. So, but it's such a pain. Anyway, I was like, I want to wear my own clothing. Anyway, so we've done these other trousers though that are like a 48-inch waist that you gather in. So they fit Jabba the Hutt, right? They'll fit Timbuktu. I mean, they'll fit any person in the whole world, you know? And there's another trouser that's like that as well. And this guy came in and we put it around him and it was like, oh my God, this is so fabulous. He was like, oh my God, I love this. Done. And then he tried on the Daniel trouser. Done. So, and he's not sample size.
He is.
Like coming up here, Steve was like, I think he's a little fat. I was like, he's not fat, he's just bigger. You know what I mean? Like fat's a whole nother way of thinking, I think. I mean, people are big. We're big, especially in America. It's not like Europe where everyone is like,
Not so much anymore.
so anyway, I want everyone to wear us.
Yeah,
I really do.
We have the people that we want, and we get more, and I don't. There's not like some kind of celebrity that I want to dress or anything.
That I have no desire for.
We kind of have, you know. I think Tilda Swinton comes to mind, but we had her. I think she was shot in a pair of our trousers. We have a picture of that. That was good. But no, we have a great. We have beautiful clients and we have beautiful customers, so it's good.
Yeah, we're lucky. But this is a very unique situation because most people can't afford to do a collection after so many years and just afford to go around and still have enough money to live their lives. And we're fortunate.
Yeah.
So, what else?
we did one collection. Our first collection was 17 pieces. It was 17 pieces of fabrics that we'd got from Moods and down on the Lower East Side, and Daniel did hand knit scarves. And I think it cost us $10,000 to do, and that was it. We started with that. I've got a picture of it. It was very small. It's kind of interesting because the last collection we did was just 36 pieces. It's definitely getting smaller what we're doing, and you know, you can start like that, but it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then you need more and more money to produce it because the stores aren't, you know, and it then gets into a
familiar refrain from stores if you ever do your online is, oh yeah, we really, really love it, but we want to see more.
Yeah. We want to see double the collection.
You know,
I mean, that's what Barney's wanted for us, but we got, you know, we were in Barney's in the second collection, which was kind of an amazing thing to do because it was the same thing as I'm saying Calvin Klein and Ralph Lauren. Like, you know, I went up to the third floor of Barney's and it was there was a pillar with, you know, Dries and Izzy Miyake and all of these names, and then Duckie Brown was in the middle of it, and I'm like, oh my, you know, again it was like, I'm not worthy. It was so like an amazing thing, and Jay Bell was the buyer at Barney's, and he was an amazing buyer. But there's not a lot of amazing buyers. There's not the creative buyers are very, very far and few between.
When we started out, people would like, oh, what do you aspire to? What do you want? I'm like, we just want to be part of the neighborhood, you know? And a lot of the people that we started out with, who no longer exist, they were always like, they want world domination. I want a store in every city in the world. You know, everyone wanted world domination. And it was like, we don't want that. And we don't have that. And, you know, for years it was like, well, why aren't we bigger? Why aren't we this? Why aren't we that? But the reality is we're exactly where we want to be, doing exactly how we want to do it. And I think it takes a while to be honest with yourself and then to be truthful and to say, but this is what I want. This is how I want it to be. I don't want to be owned by some other company telling us that we can't do a polka dotted jacket because it won't sell. Like, really? Like, that would break our hearts. You know, then what are we doing here? What, selling a white shirt? Go to Charvet if you want a good white shirt. Leave me out of it. So, I just think...
Or Uniqlo.
You know, like, or what do you mean we can't do a turban? You know, or a schmata on the head?
Well, no, I
mean,
was a little nervous of doing that.
Stephen was a little nervous. I'm like, it's a schmata on the head.
It's not a turban, it's a head wrap.
Okay. Okay, now we're talking semantics, and like we don't want to get in trouble.
It's something I wear.
It's a schmata on the head. That's how I see it.
Anyway. Any more questions?
Yes, there has to be.
Within working in corporate fashion, how would you say you were able to preserve your artistic integrity with your designs?
I didn't.
You didn't?
Okay, Duckie
Fair
threw,
enough.
like, Duckie,
It was just copying.
right.
I never knew that that was the secret of. I mean, and I worked at Theory, I worked at DKNY, I worked at Esprit, I worked at Ralph Lauren, and it was just buying samples. I was buying samples all the time. I was traveling to Europe, I had like chauffeur-driven Mercedes, you know, we were flying bloody to the south of France in helicopters, and it was like the 90s. You could spend as much as you wanted. I mean, I was buying clothes for me, Daniel. I mean, I still have some beautiful pieces of clothing that I bought. I had an amazing boss that took me with her everywhere, but it was just buying samples and copying them. So I was just drawing flats all day of samples that I bought and sending it to Hong Kong in huge worksheets and over and over and over again. And I just lost it every time because it was just copying, 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 copying. I never designed anything. You know, Theory was just copying a Prada pant because it was stretch. It was the Turalo fabric from like whatever mill it was from. And then we actually found this company, I can't remember what it was, and I just bought the whole collection. Oh, it was actually Joseph. Joseph was English. I don't think it exists anymore, do they?
I'm not sure.
I bought every single pant in the style there, and then I just did it for an American woman with a slightly bigger bum, and it was, that's what it was. So every time I was getting more money, I was getting a bigger title, but it never, I just blew it every time. Because I was so frustrated. I threw a slide projector against the wall. I chased my boss around the room. She was like, thought I was going to kill her. This was at 9 West. I threw the mood board out the window on 57th Street at Ralph Lauren. You know, I'm very calm, and then I just blew it. I couldn't do it anymore. Yeah, I got fired a lot.
I think if you work corporate in New York, I don't know about the smaller labels that exist here, you know, because I stopped paying attention, honestly, because I'm selfish now. I'm only interested in what we do. But I know there are smaller labels here, and if you went to work for one of them, if they can afford you or whatever, I don't know how they work, but any of the bigger companies, or especially the faster fashion companies, you're just going to be copying. That's not such a bad thing to begin with, because you're going to go work somewhere and you're going to meet people, and that's what it's about. You're going to find out, well, who are they using in China for sweaters, or who are they using uptown to get buttons, or where are they getting their zips, or what's the difference between a YKK or a Riri zipper, or like all that stuff that you don't even know you don't know, you're going to know. And you're going to meet people, and that's your way into the industry and to develop a tribe of people that you want to be with, because that's inevitably in most industries, that's what people want. It's like the film industry. Everyone works on the same movies over and over again because they trust the people. I'm going to hire you to do this, and I don't even think about it anymore.
But
that's what you want, and that's what you'll establish.
I do have a fantasy, but I've never worked. I'm from there. That, you know, there is, if you go to Europe and if you work for somebody there, which I don't know how you do that because I tried and I never got, you know, I wanted to work at Dries, I wanted to work with John Galliano, you know, I worked as an intern at Jasper Conran, who was going out with John Galliano at the time, but I think, you know, at Vivienne Westwood, but even people that I know that worked at Vivienne Westwood, there's still that corporate thing that you have to go up against that's very tough for me to work in. But I think that it depends where you want to work, and I don't know, you know, is Yves Saint Laurent fabulous to work? Is it great to work at Chanel? I have no idea. I don't know anyone that's worked there, but I think it's within a machine, and I think there's a lot of restrictions, which we don't have. So I was not good.
And also, there's lots of personalities, and I think the more high-end, press-worthy the label, the tougher the personalities are. And who wants to be treated like a piece of shit? You know what I mean? And I don't know how prevalent that is anymore in industries. I mean, I worked in the TV industry for 20 years, and it was really hard to work your way up. And they're nasty. They're mean. You know, it's like, you know, if you're not working 20 hours a day and coming in on the weekend, it's like. So I don't know what that's like now. Or like, you know, I had a boss once in the film industry who just, you know, yelled and screamed all the time. Now, I don't know whether you can still do that today. I think it depends how powerful you are. And it can be tough. It can be tough.
Yeah,
so you want to work with you want to try to find people to work with that you kind of like.
We have no idea. We haven't worked for somebody else for a long time.
We used to have interns. We've had one employee the whole time in 25 years. We had David for like 7 or 8 years, which was amazing and great. And then we've always had interns. And all of our interns, luckily, have always gone on and gotten great jobs in New York.
But you know, I do have a friend that's been at Ralph Lauren for 35 years.
And she loves that.
it. So it depends who you are. She wants that structure. She's gone up the ladder. She earns a fortune. And she's got like, you know, a huge title. And she loves that. That was good for her. So it's about the person. If you want to work at Ralph Lauren, you know, I got that job and I thought, I've made it. I've literally made it. I'm working at the biggest designer in the world apart from Armani. And I hated it. Because it was just, I was doing, you know, it was also that, like, I was doing knits. Oh my God. I didn't even know what knits were. I didn't know the difference between knits and wovens. It was like, you know, in England we just do everything. It's like what a knit bottom or a knit top or whatever that is. I don't know. I was like, I'm a knit bottom designer or knit top designer.
Do any of you take Marianne Grealish's class? She has a knit class where you're actually knitting.
She does the machines down somewhere
She's
downstairs
really
in
interesting.
the cave.
You should like
so it was,
search her out.
You know, I had to come up with like 450 T-shirt designs every month. And then I think 1 month was there was 13 deliveries a year. And I just was like, how many anchors can I put on the fucking front of a T-shirt? Or Ralph Lauren here, or the polo. It just was, I couldn't.
What was the one at Tommy you had that was more like this? What was it?
Oh, that I did a special line for him for like women. It was the first line, and we had like, what's that, TLC coming up, and we had to do a line for them, and it was like a zip with a mesh and boobs hanging out with Tommy Hilfiger. It was horrible. It was horrible, but I met them, so they were fun.
What else? More. Come on. Yes.
Whatever you like. Throw. Oh, we've got 5. Well, whatever you've got.
Yeah.
We don't have to go anywhere.
No.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you like formal dress code, like white tie, black tie, all that?
Well, I always think codes are sort of like rules. They're meant to be broken. So you can, yeah, they're okay. I mean,
Yes, I do.
I think it's okay. I come from a family that like really adhered to those kind of strict, like, you know, codes of like you have to wear a shirt to dinner and, you know, a T-shirt was considered an undershirt. And like a couple of years ago when my father was still alive, we were in West Palm. My parents had a place in West Palm Beach. And we were going out for dinner and Stephen wore shorts. And my father's like 94 at the time, right? And Stephen's like 50 whatever. And he's like, you can't wear shorts.
I said they're city shorts.
Like, because in my father's head, you don't wear shorts out for dinner. You know, it's like there are all these rules. And
I think I actually learned more of that from your father, because when I first went down to Florida, you know, I'm wearing a tank and a short, and it's
right,
like,
a tank didn't
but
go
then
over too well.
it's in Palm Beach, which is very formal, and I actually have become more that way. I mean, I'm quite I'm not. There's something very conservative about me and what sometimes the way I dress, and I like to be. Daniel has a uniform, I don't so much have a uniform. I'm like, how do I feel that day? And sometimes I can feel very formal, like I just bought a beautiful pair of high-waisted grey pleated wide trouser, and I want a cream jacket with it, double-breasted, with like a beautiful shirt and a beautiful tie for my friend's wedding. So for that kind of thing, I'm very strict in the way that I dress. You know, a beautiful pair of slippers, you know, I love that too. But then I can be a little bit more wacky, depending, do I want to do like a Walter von Beendonck crazy shit, or, you know, a big skirt or whatever. But that mixing up, I think I'm quite traditional in that I love that menswear thing. I love it.
So I'm going to adhere to the rules, sort of. You know, if it's black tie, I'll wear a black suit. I don't know about a bow tie and a white shirt and a cummerbund, but I'm going to wear my variation of that.
Daniel can never look immaculate like
So
the way
I have a
that
little
I
more-
can look.
I'm a
He
little
always looks slightly dishevelled, like a school. I can actually, you know, I can really like, whoa, come
That's
on,
not
let's
me.
do it. But Daniel can't do that. You know, where there's almost not a wrinkle in me, but not today. But I love that feeling of being completely. There's almost a constriction in the clothes. I mean, that was, I think, the first. There's a very funny video that you should watch of us that we did many years ago. It's called The Guts of Duckie Brown. You can find it on YouTube.
Well, you can find it on our website.
It's called The Guts of Duckie Brown, and Lina directed it, and it's funny. And one of the first pattern makers I worked for, who's unfortunately dead now, I was like, I need to do a jacket that doesn't fit. Like, it needs to be kind of constricted to me. It's so tight. I love the feeling of being in a jacket that is so fitted and so beautiful, and the waist is like, I love that. Especially if you're going to somewhere formal, like a wedding or a funeral or whatever that is. But I love that, yes.
Yes.
What do you guys do when you feel like you ran out of ideas or have like artist block?
Doesn't happen.
Never happened.
The conversation is endless. You know, how can you run out of ideas? It's like running out of air. Like,
There's always too many. I mean,
there's,
you know,
it's the conversation keeps going. There's always, like, we don't. It's not even like, what are we doing next? It's like, let's talk about the next collection. Well, I was thinking this. I was thinking that. Well, what about this? I don't know. It's something. You know, like, I think the last collection, where you see the T-shirt, the short sleeve T-shirt over a long sleeve T-shirt or shirt. That's because we were on the subway, and I said, look at those boys. They look so cute. That's a young thing, right? Where you wear a T-shirt over a shirt, a long sleeve shirt. And, you know,
More
it
of a
ended up in the
statement.
collection. Like, I don't know. It's whatever's happening now in our life. And if you're sensitive to what's happening now and not stuck on what it should be or what it shouldn't be, or what did we do last time, or who's doing this, or I don't know what's in or what's out. I just know what's of interest to us.
We're actually doing something quite drastic as we speak, which is something I think that's interesting, because to keep moving and keep pivoting is a really good idea, and to keep it going. And we are actually, so the next collection for me is, we are actually about to sell our studio in New York and move Duckie Brown to Greece. So it's something that's very, very... We bought a house in Greece, and we are probably going to move the Duckie Brown studio there and not do it out of New York anymore. So for me, that's the next collection at this moment, and I kind of can't do anything else other than that. I mean, the creative process doesn't stop, but the next collection is our house, but how do you do a collection based on clothing from a house? And so we're talking about ideas of that at the moment, and like we're buying single pieces of furniture for this house, and I'm like the idea of doing single pieces of clothing, just photographing them. So it just
The bench you see that's popping up here,
yeah.
that's a Paul Evans bench. Look him up.
And we also
Brutalist furniture designer from the 60s, 70s. That he's on right now. That's for the house in Greece.
We also have the most beautiful archive pieces from 25 years of Duckie Brown. You know, we have the most beautiful green cashmere coat that is like so beautiful. And
Anna loved it when she saw
and
it.
we also have like this apron that's made out of a sack from Africa or something. There are these pieces that are so beautiful. My fantasy is I don't want to make anything else. I just want to do those pieces and, you know what, sell them. I don't need them. I don't want anyone going through my stuff when I'm dead. I don't want anything. I just want one house in Greece. I'll leave it to somebody, and that's what I want. So I never get stuck on the next thing because there's always something else.
Yeah, I don't know. The conversation is endless, I think, for me. I think it's harder when you're a student because they're giving you such specific things to do, right? Like a suit or a trouser, it's got to have a double pleat here and a single pleat there and a button there and a zip. Like they're giving you all this crazy shit to do that you would never normally do in real life, and you're sort of like, how do I make that all work?
But I actually did. When I first started Duckie Brown, I didn't think I was good enough. I was not good enough to have my own collection. I felt that I was not good. So I did actually come to FIT the year before or during the first year of Duckie Brown, I think 2001 it was, and I did the menswear tailoring evening class, and I did the jacket and the trousers, and I realised how good I was. And I've still got that jacket and I've still got those trousers. And it was really, so I did come here to make myself feel better that I was better. But I was anyway, but it was a great thing to do. So if you can, that again goes back to, I think, to your question, if the basic of that was what it's all about. Making a man's jacket from inside to outside by hand with no machine. I think I did stitch some of the art.
Yeah, but you don't have to be a good designer you don't have to be a good sewer to be a good designer.
No, I'm not the best sewer in the world, but it was a beautiful jacket. I still
Like-
have all the stitching, and it's beautiful.
You know what I mean? You don't have to be the best sketcher to be a good designer. And a good designer isn't a good pattern maker, right? Like there's lots of pattern makers that become designers. You know what? It's like a hair cutter. You either cut hair or you color it.
Yeah, I am
No
not
one
the
does
best
both
pattern
well,
maker.
best. Okay, it's one or the other. It's like designers. They do menswear or women's wear. Just let's forget about being woo-woo for a second. Never do they do both well, right? It's just impossible. Chanel. Why doesn't someone do Chanel men's? Right? We want to do Chanel men's, right? Chanel men's.
I don't.
Anyway, my point is that. Don't worry about, if you're designers, you're designers. If you're pattern makers, you're pattern makers. And you're in school to find out who you really are. Maybe you're a knit guy or you're a source person.
Maybe you're a knit boss.
For fabrics. I don't know. Yes.
For what it's worth, this, what we are coming from is the jacket tailoring class.
Ah.
The afternoon segment of the class.
There you go.
Oh, that's great.
That's very intense
And where
that's
are
hard
you
shit
in
to
that?
pull off.
What, have you put it together yet?
So,
Let's see your stuff.
we didn't bring anything to this event, unfortunately, but so far today we talked about how to attach the front piece to the front facing.
Oh, okay.
I believe the course hasn't changed that much from,
That was
what I learned.
Professor, what was his name?
Italian. Italian.
Gracia?
Mara?
Gracia?
I'm not sure. It
A
was
guy.
a long time. It was 25 years ago.
Yeah, I took over the course,
Ah.
and I graduated the same course, and
Ah.
I haven't changed that much because the previous course was already valid.
It's beautiful.
Yes.
It's a beautiful thing to do.
So they're learning their parts.
It's really hard to do that well. I mean, good luck.
Many handworks,
It's
are
beautiful.
Yeah.
I still have the jacket and the trousers, and I still put them on. Maybe that's a piece we could use.
Maybe. I mean, the interesting thing that Stephen came away with, besides knowing that he could actually do it, was his sewing technique became like 10,000 times better.
Yes.
Like your ability just to, what is just like, it's magic.
Well, it was also a confidence of like, I remember some of the people that were so like, oh my God, this is like, I'm so good at this, I'm so bloody good at this. And then they brought fabrics in, and their fabric choice was awful. And I had got this gorgeous cashmere and a beautiful corduroy, and I was like, this is fabulous. So it was good. I would do it again. It's a fabulous thing to do.
Yeah, there's a lot of hands work, like stitches,
Yes.
stitches.
I mean, I have a fantasy of doing. I would love to go. I think I'm going to Greece, so it might happen in Athens. But I'd love to do like an apprenticeship. Like I'd love to do that again. And, knowing what I've done and what I do, I'd like to go back and learn how to do that at like Anderson and Shepherd or somewhere like that, a beautiful, and do it. Like kind of McQueen did it before, but I'd like to do it after. Now I've done this. What I would love
How
to
long do you
do
think
that.
you would last at one of those places?
Probably a day.
But we would love, we are happy, I mean, you can get our information, but, from Jennifer, but we would be happy to come see the final presentation,
Really amazing.
or
Oh,
like,
yes.
or talk to what you've done, and Stephen can bring his jacket, and,
Oh no,
know?
I wouldn't. It's awful.
why? I think it would be great. Come on.
The sleeve is not that great.
Anyway, please get our information from Jennifer, but, you know, we're here until the end of June, and we'd be happy. We love sharing the little bit that we know. What else? Tariffs,
There's no
the
tariff.
price of liquor, yes?
So who in the industry made impression on you? I'm talking about the designers you work with, Marc Jacobs, seems like you got his name.
No.
Oh, do you mean like
Personally?
Like who are, like, yeah, share with these students some of the personalities that you've met.
I've
So
never
you might-
met Marc
yeah.
Jacobs, but I do think that he is probably one of the best American designers. I mean, I think he's more of a stylist.
I
than
think he's a
designer.
stylist, I don't think he's a designer. He like sort of rips off everyone and redoes it, and that's great. He's got a thing.
Yeah,
I mean, he made more money than we
How was
did.
it working for Ralph Lauren himself?
oh.
He's
It
very
wasn't
short.
the greatest.
He's very short. I once talked to him at a CFDA
He's
event.
very feminine in real life, and very short, and was kind of Xanaxed out.
Yeah,
He
he's not
seemed like-
interested. There's something that happens to people if you're too rich, too famous, too long. Forget about it.
He doesn't seem connected to the clothing, and I was really surprised at how small. He's very petite.
He's like 4 hands high.
Yeah, and
Like
he,
my Shetland.
he was like. He actually told me. I said, "Oh, I love the pants you have on. They're sailor pants." He was like, "Oh, they're actually women's," and I'm like, I liked that he wore women's clothes because he's so tiny and can't get the big sizes in it. So he had these beautiful sailor pants on. I don't know. I think that designer-wise,
You know who I met, who I kind of liked, was, what's her face? The one that's ancient. Cocoon Coat.
Cocoon Coat?
Yes.
Mary McFadden?
No!
Oh, Norma Kamali.
Norma Kamali.
Oh.
You guys should look up Norma Kamali. She's been around forever in a dog's age. She looks amazing. She must be 80. She looks 55, and she's had no work done. I don't know what the fuck she's doing. That girl looks amazing. But she is really nice. She's interesting to talk to. She's smart as a whip. And she was someone who I actually really enjoyed having a conversation with. She was one.
I think that the people that wrote in our book are the ones that we most admire. I think that Maria Corneo I love.
Do you know
I like
her?
Isabel Toledo.
Yes,
Um,
Isabel Toledo was sweet.
Mona from, I can't remember her name, but like a lesser known designer. A détaché she had. I think, Tim Blanks has been I think that the people that we respect are the writers in the book, and then we've become friends with them. Tim Blanks is a really good friend of ours. He's a really beautiful writer. Matthew Schneier, the same. And Jose from Vogue.com has become a really good friend as well. So
I think that we haven't met, especially in New York, there wasn't anyone that we ever met that inspired us who was in our group, or like in our
Sharon.
in our age group, or in terms of our company. We were friendly with Tom. We were friendly with Cloak, if you remember Cloak and Alexander, or Robbie Geller. And those guys are very nice, but they never inspired us. I felt like we were always floating our own boat, which worked for us and against us. And then when we stopped playing the game, we lost touch with all those people because we didn't go to those events, because we weren't thirsty in that way. Because there's a lot of sucking up you have to do in any industry if you want to move forward. And we didn't want to move forward in that way. We had sucked up enough, and then we're like, enough with you and sucking up. So we went to the right or to the left, and that was our choice. And as a result, we are embraced by some, but not everyone. I mean, look at FIT, right? Valerie Steele, has she ever called us up to talk? Has she ever called us up to
Is she
borrow
still
a piece
here?
for any of her thousands of exhibits? There's nothing in Duckie Brown that would work in one of her exhibits? I ask you. But that's how it is. It's all good. I accept that. You
We
know, and
don't
it took me a
play
long
the
time.
game so well.
We're not attractive in the right way to all the people in the right way, and that's okay by me. That's
And
how it goes.
Anna is, you know, the queen.
Right, who we've gotten to meet
And
twice.
we don't do,
she's lovely.
unless you do women's wear, you know, we went
Well,
and
she's
saw,
not interested.
we went and saw her twice up at Vogue, but she's not interested in menswear. I also had the same fantasy as like being friends with Madonna. I thought, oh, Anna's English, I'm English, I'm going to go out there and go, all right, Anna, let's have, you know, it's going to be like me and her having a right laugh, and then we're going to go out with Kate Moss afterwards. That didn't happen. She's very, very cold.
She's not cold.
She's
all
inward.
business. I mean, you get in there.
She was nice to us.
I mean, you get in there, and it is a little daunting because, you know, usually
There's
people are
Anna.
like, oh, hi, how are you? What are you, like, so I'm so glad we got to meet. She's like this.
She's inward. She stands
And
like
you're
this.
like,
She was like this.
okay, here we are. And like, of course, this one is waiting for me. So I'm like, okay, so, you know, and you just have to sort of dive in. It's like you're sinking or swimming.
But we were
And
in
they
there for
tell-
25 minutes.
Right, and they tell you, her assistants are like, if you last more than 10 minutes, you're doing really well. So we were in there for 25. It was really like, oh my God, this is,
And we saw her twice.
yeah. Anyway, whatever. What else? So, yeah, we're inspired by the people that are in the book that we've gathered around us, but I can't say too many designers have really interested us.
Again, for me, it's like there's a set of classics that are over and over and over the same thing as Charlie Chaplin, My School Uniform, Lads, Vivienne Westwood, Ray Kawakubo, Dries Van Noten, Walter von Beendonck,
McQueen.
Alexander McQueen. Although I don't know, I was really looking at some of his stuff. I watched the documentary again. I don't know, there was something it was too severe for me. I mean, I looked at Phoebe Philo, the collection today, and
You
I
all
just,
know her? You
I
should
just
look at her work.
like there's something about her that is just so good. Like, she does a t-shirt with a fucking train on it. It's like, really? There's something that I connect with her. There's that
Phoebe Philo.
There's that English thing. I think there's that. I'm so English in that way that I design, and I don't know what that is. But McQueen and Phoebe Philo, and it just there's that thing. It's just so beautiful what she does. She does this tracksuit with the thing and the bags, and it's really, and you know what, I love the row too. I mean, I know they don't design that stuff, those two girls.
No, but you know what?
But
They
there's
have impeccable
something
taste of who to
beautiful.
hire to execute their old worn garments
And it's
into something
so
new.
expensive, but it's so,
I mean, it is the Gap for billionaires.
yeah.
You know, like I had a huge argument last summer in Amagansett in their store. They took over for Tina, T-I-I-N-A.
Tina the store.
The store, which was also like the Gap for billionaires. Anyway, so we're in the row, and I see this nylon piece. That's beautiful. It's a nylon jacket, right? Okay, we've done nylon before. I'm like, oh, I really like this piece. How much is it? They're like $3,200. I'm like, for a piece of fucking nylon? Are you crazy? I know what I'm not paying your rent. You know, there's like, how much could it have cost them to make that piece?
But it's
It was
the
beautiful.
robe.
Okay, $300 at the most, and that's a lot. And they're selling it for 10 times a markup?
It's
No!
It's beautiful. It was beautiful.
You've got to say no sometimes.
So again, it's the set of,
It's like I was in Yves Saint Laurent. I saw this zippy top.
it's the same
So
story again.
beautiful. $3,800 for a zippy top that I know I'm going to eat and get a stain on. How could you spend $3,800?
These are Phoebe Philo.
Yeah, but you bought them for me. I can't
No.
spend $3,800.
These are like 750, I think.
I just don't know what's happened in
I
fashion.
bought them for Daniel for
Like,
his birthday.
Prada used to be reasonable. Now you go into the Prada store, look at a white shirt or this. They have sweaters like a little cardigan for $4,000. Who's buying that shit?
The Row flip-flops are
I mean, it's
650.
crazy to me.
Anyway.
I just don't get. I don't get the prices. I mean, we're cheap, and sometimes people complain about our prices. Like our trousers are $900, our shirts
That's
are
not
$700.
cheap.
I didn't say we were cheap, but we're
You
doing
said
a
we're
one-off,
cheap.
or we're doing compared to them. We're cheap compared to them. Compared to them, we're cheap. Okay, we're making 3 or 4 of something, or 1 of something. So, I don't know. I don't get it. You know. I don't. We've always wanted to do a high fashion line at a cheaper price point. Like, you know.
I don't want that anymore either.
But I think it would have been great if we could have done. I mean, okay, Zach's trying to do it now at the Gap, but to do the Gap, because why? I mean, good design is good design. And you can still buy a cheap black
I
fabric
don't want to
that's a
do
beautiful black
any
fabric.
more collaborations.
No, we're
I
past
don't want
that.
to work for anybody else, so that's all over.
Yeah. Unless Chanel comes knocking.
I don't want to do that either.
If Chanel came, let's do Chanel men's. We'll do 2 seasons. It'll be a nightmare. We'll get a lot of press, a little money, and we'll live in Paris.
Oh, God, no.
Not so bad.
Anyway, on that note, thank you.
Anything else? Is that it? All right.
Thank you
Thank you so
so
much.
Thank you for being a lovely audience.
Yes, thank you for all your questions.